Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it is our favorite time of the week because we like new knives, and the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves are right on the table in front of me. Let's check them out. All right, for the first knife, you folks have been asking about it ever since I showed it off the first time. My first budget folding knife collaboration is here. The CJRB Maximal has hit. And I designed this knife to literally be a knife I could feel comfortable recommending to anyone without having to know too much about the person and at any budget. And the key to that is adaptability, so it can work for like the maximal number of people. That's the name. Pardon Thomas over there. He's dealing with a little bit of sickness, and he sounds pretty terrible right now. So you might not hear him chiming in quite as much.
I went to Las Vegas and all I got with this stupid pneumonia.
There you go. Wish him get well soon. But anyway, moving on. Now we can't talk. I can just steamroll on, perhaps.
I still have power at the edit.
That's true. we'll let him rest his voice here. So anyway, the key is adaptability. You got a 3-inch blade, so it can go just about anywhere. An adaptable drop point shape that'll work pretty much anything, right? You know, everyday carry, outdoor use, even slight tactical uses if you're looking for a small knife that might be able to poke a little bit. And then a handle, though. Even though it's kind of for me at least, in my slightly larger than average hands, it's a 3.5 finger grip behind the finger guard. I can choke up and get a full 4 fingers on it. Despite it being that nice compact length, so any size pocket could accommodate this, you've got extra height in the handle here that allows a full grip across a wide range of handle sizes. Is it going to be perfect for everyone? Nothing can be perfect for everyone, but it is my best stab at something that will work across the board. Ambidextrous qualities as well, works for anyone there, thanks to the crossbar lock. And the action that CJRB is getting off of their crossbar locks is really good. Nice and snappy in a way that most crossbar locks aren't. You've got a deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible as well. $50 for this knife, which is already a great deal. RPM 9 stainless steel here, easy to maintain, yet holds an edge pretty well. We got green micarta with a gold pivot ring. We've also got 2 G10 options, the red with a silver ring and black with a blue ring. On top of that, we've been able to bring an exclusive, and we were expecting this to arrive a little bit after our initial batch of the standard versions arrived, but we got surprised as well, and they arrived in the same shipment essentially. Here is the Knife Center exclusive CJRB Maximal, made a little bit classier, a little bit fancier, and some upgrades in both the handle and the blade steel department. We've got, as you can see, a full carbon fiber handle with a matte texture. It feels really good and brings the weight down a little bit. It's like 2.7 ounces versus 3 ounces of the G10 versions, and that makes the balance so nice, as you can see right there. And the gold pivot ring on there also helps it look nice and classy. And then a satin finish blade as opposed to stonewash, and Artisan's new SF2 blade steel, which is a spray formed version of basically 154 cm. So you could get some really good edge retention at that with that type of material, but increase its toughness thanks to that spray form nature of it, which is pretty cool. And best of all, the price is not too much higher than the standard version. It's only about a $20 upcharge for the full carbon fiber handles and that spray form upgraded steel. Just under $70 for this classy bad boy. And again, the action, like I said, is so nice. I may be a little biased, but I think they came out so good. Next up, let's keep some more some crossbar locks going. And basically the theme for almost half of this video are knives or folding knives with finger safe closing action. Thanks to things like the crossbar lock on this Fox Anzu, a Les George design, you can close the knife without ever getting your fingers in the way of the blade, which is just a nice thing, a little bit of extra peace of mind when you're closing the knife. This right here, the Anzu, is made in Italy. It's about $200. You've got a 3 1/8 inch long drop point blade Magna Cut steel on this with a very Les George looking drop point shape. G10 for the handles here, reversible pocket clip, as you can see, and yeah, it works pretty nicely. Handle size on this, Some folks may be able to get all 4 fingers in this standard section right here, but I would say if you have kind of medium or smaller hands, that should be no problem. My slightly larger than average mitts here, I do have to kind of come off the back here, because otherwise in a standard grip, my pinky kind of hits right on that beak. So this one is going to be a handle that's a little more hand size dependent, whether you take to it or not. Other versions of this that are available right now, we've got also with Magna Cut steel and a carbon fiber handle milled just like this. That's coming in about $241 and some change. Different accenting color on that as well. But there you go. Feels really nice. Good materials as well. The next finger safe closer is a new version of the Benchmade Bailout that dropped earlier this week with their axis lock here, coming in also at $200 even right here. Almost 3.4 inch blade here, Tonto profile of course, and S30V, which is the first time we've seen a stainless steel available on the Bailout series. So if you've been holding off because of that, there you go, you got an option for you now. So despite it being stainless, we still have a Cerakote on the blade here, more for style than anything else. This is, of course, a more tactically oriented design. Grivery handles here, keeping things nice and lightweight. The standard bail on the back without the glass breaker here, which is, of course, a little kinder in the pockets, or a little kinder to your hand when you're reaching around it. 2.5 ounces for this slim carrying knife. And there you go. There is the closed profile, as you can see. There is the open profile, which you've already been able to see. The cool thing about the Bailout, I've been carrying one of the aluminum handled versions of this, not as much regularly anymore, but it's one of my favorite folders and one of the few Tonto folders in my collection. It actually might be my only current Tonto in the collection, because I like thinner, slicier blades, generally speaking. This is still a thinner, slicier blade, despite the more chiselly thickness of the tip. At least we'll call it chiselly thickness there. But it's going to slice really well and look pretty cool doing it. Next finger safe closing lock we can talk about is the compression lock, as seen here on the Para 3 from Spyderco. This is the sprint run version with 15V blade steel and the brown G10 handles. 15V, of course, is all about your edge retention. This thing is going to be able to hold an edge a scarily long time, head and shoulders above everything else that's on the table right now. So if that outright edge retention is what you want, this is one of the best steels you can get your hands on these days. This knife is made on Earth, as you can see right here. Also made in Golden, Colorado. $215 and some change for this knife. You've got a 4-position pocket clip, so you can carry it any type of style you want. And you've got the finger safe closing action of that compression lock as well. And that nice flicking action that is known as the Spidey flick for good reason. Now I can't really, well, I slung it shut that time. Maybe it just needed a few cycles. We just did a take right before this where it didn't quite open, or didn't quite flick closed quite very easily, but now it's like, makes me think I did something wrong last time.
User error.
Might have been. Maybe it might have been, or maybe it just needed a few cycles to break in which case a few cycles is all it took, which is nice. There you go, Para 3. Check it out. If you want to spend less money on a Para 3, you certainly can. We'll leave a link to the whole series below. Next up, from Vosteed, this is the Porcupine with their top liner lock, as they call it, which really is a button-actuated offshoot of what Spyderco does with the compression lock right there. This is a far more affordable take on that style of lock. $69 for this knife. And in a way, the shape of it really kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Oz Roosevelt, that very premium knife. This is a far more affordable possible alternative to that. The construction's way different, of course. This is not a frame lock, nor is it titanium, nor a super high-end steel, but it is very affordable. 3-inch 14C 28N blade, that good Sandvik Swedish steel, with a nice smudge on the back of the blade. Sorry, I didn't clean that up before getting on camera. $69 for this knife, if I didn't mention that already. This is the blue micarta version. The pivot here on the front actually catches our eyes quite nicely. You've got a matte silver aluminum around the pivot, and then a sort of like concave dish in the middle of the pivot. It's kind of different without being like over the top. It's just a little bit of extra visual interest there, which is pretty cool. You've still got the finger safe closing, thanks to that Pop liner lock right there. And you've got a reversible wire pocket clip, almost completely deep carry in this case. The action is really snappy on that reverse flick, as you can see, just very, very nice indeed. You could, of course, also thumb open that, or you've got the button there, press down, wrist flick is also an option. But yeah, overall, good EDC option with this blade. The blade itself offers that kind of, or walks that line between, thin slicer and heavier duty work knife. It occupies a little bit of that middle ground. Still slicey enough for EDC, but it's not something you're going to be afraid to kind of push when you need to, I would say. Next up, the Raccoon has a new blade shape with the top liner locking version of this. Classic knife in their lineup at this point. Also $69. So interestingly, same steel, but bigger blade here on the Raccoon. Same lock as well, the same price. So the value is definitely in the Raccoon's favor a little bit. You get a little bit more for the same dollars, basically. Unless you like micarta. This has got a G10 handle. Dark blue G10, copper dunes for the blade finish on that clip point shape, very Bowie-esque blade shape. All the same things apply, basically. You've got the top liner lock, you've got nice snappy action, thumb studs instead of a blade cutout. You've got more handle length on this knife, even without using this, this forward grip area around the pivot, which gives you a truly large amount of real estate to hold onto. Actually, I didn't do that with the Porcupine. Let's just compare there. It's just almost a 3.5 finger grip in the standard section, and you've got the fingal choil area there at the front. It's a little bit small for my finger size. Again, your mileage may vary. Next up, we've got the Guardian from Bestechman, the Bestech's more budgety sub-brand. This is a traditional plunge-style button lock. It's not a compression-like lock here. You've got a 3.2-inch D2 blade. We can't call that a reverse Tonto, and it makes me so happy. What doesn't make me happy is their website's calling it a modified Wharncliffe.
Trailing sheep's foot.
I'm sorry for making you speak, Thomas. It's a clipped sheep's foot is what I would probably call it. Such is life. We can't have everything we want, but that's okay. We've got really cool G10 on these knives, actually. All of them have, I think all of them have, I'll make sure to check the description there, a sort of patterned outer layer or finish, something. I believe they're talking about at SHOT Show with us, the way they're layering this G10 achieves an almost carbon fiber-like look without the expense of carbon fiber. Without the lightness of carbon fiber as well, but yeah, it's neither here nor there. But it's subtle but cool. Like, we'll try to get some good shots of that there. $55 and some change, or just under $56 for this knife. Several different flavors are available. This is, of course, the cinnamon flavor right here. The action on that button lock is pretty good. You've got, get used to a little bit of bounce coming back. Reverse flick feels good with that thumb stud. Standard opening, of course, is also quite nice. Quite deep carry pocket clip there. Single-sided in this case, however, so even though your button lock is lefty friendly, the clip there is definitely a right-hand biased thing. Standard grip here, 3.5 fingers for me. Your mileage may vary, and a fairly comfortable choke up. Even if I don't use the finger choil there, I can get a full 4-finger grip on that knife, no problem. Next up from Bestech is the Constellation, a Paul Munko design. This is a knife, I'm really digging the size of it actually. This easily could have been a bigger knife, but the blade is just over 3 inches, and I love how narrow this handle gets right in here. It feels very precise and very nimble, and delicate is not the word I want to convey in terms of like the strength of it, but it has a more like nimble and delicate handling quality to it, because you usually don't see, big frame lock folders, not that this is big, but with that narrow of a waist here right behind the pivot. I like it a lot, actually. Blade steel is Magna Cut. These start at about $238. This one right here with the carbon fiber inlays front and back is $246. There's a few options that you can check out there, of course. Really, really nice overall. The quality of Bestech's frame locking knives is always very good. You've got a bolster style frame lock, or a we came up with some kind of name we might start calling this type of thing, a shrouded frame lock. Is that what it is?
Maybe.
Might have been. I keep making Thomas talk. I am very sorry. I don't know why I keep doing that. Force of habit, maybe. But yeah, it looks really good. The fit in my hand is quite nice. This is not a heavy-duty work knife, not what I would think of as a heavy-duty work knife. It's got some strength to push harder if you need to, but you know, it's a 3.5 finger grip for me, and it just, I don't know, the handle, something about the handle shape just really works for my digits. I'm digging it a lot. High flat grind on that Tonto profile. You do see a hint of alteration or transition in the grind, but it's essentially just a flat grind from heel to tip. Action, you've got flipper tab there with a really nice carve out in the top of the handle flowing into that flipper tab, meaning it's real easy to anchor up there and find that tab. You're not gonna slip off of it. And you got your thumb studs as well, which of course are gonna work very, very nicely. Next up, this knife dropped today, actually. The Ace Grand from GiantMouse, the Blackout version is here. $265 for this knife. It's got a MagnaCut blade, about 3 3/8 of an inch long, clip point shape with a high flat grind, and a very comfortable handle indeed. Contoured, sorry, almost said G10, contoured micarta right here. Blackened wire pocket clip, which is also reversible and deep carry. And you do have a hint of color here with the back spacer and the pivot ring. It's a blue, but it's not a brilliant blue. It's just kind of a subtle touch that doesn't kind of ruin the blackout aesthetics. I don't think you can technically call it blackout anymore with those colored details, but I'm not gonna be too upset about it because it looks really, really nice. These are made in Italy. You got a crowned spine, as you can see right there, a little bit of jimping out in front of the opening hole, primarily for your fingertip, I would say. That's what feels natural. You could stretch out there with your thumb, but that's not really a super natural feeling grip for most cuts I would be doing. Again, your mileage may vary. Nice details, of course, that we are used to seeing is that inset liner lock, which feels good, and you don't have to worry about lock bar pressure on the back side of the blade like you might with a frame lock. No flipper tab here. It is just the cutout for opening. Feels really nice. Standard open also feels really nice. What more would you like to know? Have we talked about why MagnaCut is awesome?
No.
Sorry, Thomas. MagnaCut's awesome. It holds an edge real well, it's very tough, and it's very stainless in a way that few other steels can manage to equal. So, how about some more of it? We have a Chris Reeve Sebenza. It's been a while since we've had these in stock and on the shelves with this natural canvas inlay. These are coming in at $650, made, of course, in Idaho, if you weren't sure. It says so right on the back of the blade. And very different feel than like the flicky, snappy frame locks that a lot of people may be used to, but you still can do that flicky, snappy thing. As you can see, washers in the pivot here instead of ball bearings, and just tolerances that are just a cut above what most other manufacturers are doing, even other premium manufacturers, which there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Just Chris Reeves feel like a Chris Reeve knife because of how they put it together. And the Sebenza is a legend for a reason. There you go. Frame lock, of course, Chris Reeve invented the frame lock. We've got the newer angled pocket clip because this is the Sebenza 31, 2-pinch point pocket clip. It should be mentioned, did you see the short we did from SHOT Show showing their new pocket clip, which you should be able to purchase separately? It's a injection molded titanium clip, which is a bit lower profile. It's stronger. It still has the twin retention points on it as well. Check that out if you haven't. MagnaCut blade, 3.61 inches with a hollow grind and stone washed finish, convex edge, crown spine. The details are not over the top on this knife. They're a little more subtle, but they are so nicely considered and very well done. Next up, a knife that some consider to approach the Sebenza in levels of quality, and they're not really wrong. The SHF Harsey, the Spartan Harsey folder. New version of this with the 4-inch blade and this really cool milled titanium handle. They're calling this Octoburst because it's got a burst thing and some octagons on it. Except those aren't octagons, they're hexagons. Why are they calling it Octoburst? I'm gonna have to have a word with them Spartan boys. I'm here counting it to make sure I'm not an idiot. Yeah, there's 6 sides on it. It's a hexagon. Anyway, who cares what you call it? It looks good. It feels very good as well. Like the Sebenza, this is a knife that has washers instead of ball bearings in the pivot. If you don't know why, that can be a good thing. It is a little more resistant to stuff like dirt and grit and dust and that sort of thing. It can also, some people think it makes a more stable, pivot connection here. And this certainly is a very stable pivot connection going on. Nice flick on there, Magna-cut steel, if it wasn't obvious from the lettering there on the front. Big, long amount of reach. No crown spine here. A few of those extra level details are what set the Sebenza apart, but this is a really finely made USA folder. Speaking of, we've got something that I could say all of those things about, but add the word automatic in there. This is the Microtech Stitch, the Borka Blades collaboration. The handles here are subtle, but in person, they're really nice. It's a natural clear-coated aluminum going on, so you get a real subtle brushed texture. It almost looks like gray wood, or has gray wood flooring, but that doesn't have good connotations either. But it actually reminds me a little bit more of bamboo almost in the texture that we see right there. It's really cool looking, but not something that's over the top. It's something that is for you to enjoy, not necessarily the person across the room. Automatic action from this side opening Microtech. How good do you think it's going to be? Very is the answer you should have gone with. 3.6 inches on the blade, M390 steel, as you can see, signature kind of pointy spade type of blade shape going on. Plenty of grip there for a full handle length, and you've got section there to choke up even further while still offering yourself hand protection or finger protection to get up close and personal with some smaller detail work. But when you want to use it in a more maybe self-defensive or tactical capacity, you can choke back, get a little bit more reach, of course. They're built awesome. It's a cool finish. It's about $418 for this one if you're interested. Next up, another auto. We've got a lot of the ProTech stuff you saw in our SHOT Show coverage is now live on the site, including this limited edition of the Oligarch, a collaboration with Dmitry Sinkovich. $900 for this knife. It is limited. It is more embellished than the standard versions, of course. We've got a 3 1/4 inch Damascus blade. I believe this is a Chad Nichols Damascus. Yes, checking my notes, it is indeed. Stainless steel handles, but man, look at how finely done those are. We've got two-tone stuff going on in both the milled pocket section as well as the bevels here. 55 pieces. This is number 12, as you can see right there at the back. Really cool design. Do we have any standard Oligarchs in stock at the moment? Just checking for you. Yes, if you like the shape and you're fine with Magna-cut steel and aluminum handles, sounds pretty good. Those are about $300 if you don't want to spring for the limited edition. But if you do spring for the limited edition, it springs quite nicely. Actually, a cool detail here. I don't remember seeing this on the standard versions, but you've got some notches in the pivot around there, giving you a little more visual things to look at and appreciate as you use the knife. I like it. It's very cool. One more Magna-cut blade today, and it is an example of all of the latest batch of Dawson knives that we got in. This is the Contractor Gen 2, one of the smaller of the fixed blades we got from this batch, $270 for it. 3 1/4 inch blade, a little bit on the thicker side here. I mean, that's about, is that a 1/4 inch thick right there? That's definitely got some meat on its bones. Hollow grind to keep the edge itself a little bit thinner, but a lot of strength at the spine of that knife, especially considering you're using a tough steel like Magna-cut here. G10 for the handles. The feel is pretty good. I could maybe do with a little bit of a bigger finger, index finger groove there for my finger sizes, but your mileage may vary, and they've got a ton of different models to pick from right now. Carbon fiber styled Kydex sheath, 2 big broad belt loops there with plenty of standoff, and between the slots and the holes here, pretty much any of your aftermarket solutions should work pretty well, be it a tech lock or, I mean, that's good. Tech locks are really good. Why can't I think of any of the other ones?
You me talk again?
No, I'm just, not intentionally. Civivi's T-clip, Ulti clips, lots of stuff. It's gonna work quite nicely. But yeah, check out the whole batch. We'll just leave a link to the brand down below. You can see what is currently available, because these are all pretty much one-offs. Don't think we have more than one of any of them in any case. Again, I'm checking my numbers right here. Yep, we have just one of this particular knife right now, but a bunch of stuff. And of course, we semi-regularly get batches in from Dawson. Last but not least, we've got the 3 new stone red Victorinox knives this year. Every year, they do basically these 3 knives in a color that's only going to be produced for this year. We've got the Classic XD, the Pioneer X, and the Evoke, all in this stone red. 44 bucks for the Classic, 77 for the Pioneer X, and 130 for the Evoke. And it's, we could say, oh, I wish they did it on this model, but this is a pretty a well-rounded set of 3. If you're going to pick 3 from the lineup to do the colors on, you've got a keychain sized one, you've got a standard-ish sized Swiss Army knife that is going to be adaptable to a lot of things, and you've got the bigger one-hand opening locking blade for heavier uses. So a good rounded selection, and good rounded selection for your collection. It's a little too much rhyming right now. The Evoke does come with this braided fob right here if you want to extend your grip. Mid-mounted lockback, single-sided pocket clip on this knife. Standard Swiss Army knife steel or Victorinox steel, which is a little bit on the softer side, doesn't hold an edge forever. It is easy to maintain, and it is quite stainless. If you've used a Swiss Army knife before, you know what you're getting into. The Pioneer X is the Pioneer with an added X. Main blade, reamer / scraper all. You've also got the cap lifter and can opener, each with screwdriver tips, and the X denotes the scissors on this model. The standard Pioneer does not have them. The Pioneer X has Victorinox's excellent pair of scissors. And then of course the Classic SD, because you're dealing with the Alox handle scales here, that tougher aluminum material, you don't get the toothpick and tweezers, but you do get the small pen blade, you get a smaller pair of the scissors, and you get, where is it? Let me grab it from the correct side, the nail file with the SD part of Classic SD, the small Phillips head screwdriver on the end here. If you're not bothered by the loss of the toothpick and tweezers, these Alox versions of the Classic are so slim and so nice on a keychain. And you can spend a little bit less, I think. Actually, does the Classic, how does this price compare to the standard Alox Classics, I wonder? We're gonna find out in real time. Hopefully, if it doesn't go too slowly. $34 for the standard Alox versions. So 10 bucks less if you want just to go with the silver version. But there we go. That's all we've got for today, folks. Let me know what you thought of the knives in the comments. What are your favorites? What are you interested in? If you want to get your hands on any of them, check out the links in the description. And those will take you to KnifeCenter.com. Or if you want to break up the payments of one of these more expensive knives into more manageable chunks, we've got a new Sezzle payment option to talk about. And don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program so you can earn some free money on your future knives. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, slowly getting better. We're signing off. See you next time.